First and foremost, y'all know how we kick it off every time. We're going to do a little different this time. A little ASMR. No, you probably haven't even seen one of these. Probably ain't heard one of these. But let me go ahead, bring it back to your childhood. Piece of celery right here, cuz. Look at this. Look at that. Ain't no seasoned salt. It's healthy, nutritious. We're going to eat lunch together. And as we eat lunch, hold on. Hold on. Because we know the celery take a while to get on broken down. All right, now we got that out of the way. I actually jumped in here on my lunch break so I can go ahead and give y'all a little bit of the Venchie talk vibes. I know I missed the deadline of putting it out on Sunday. My apologies. But as a great man once told me, aka my twin brother, you have not reached the heights. You have not reached that level of taking a day off. You have not reached the levels of skipping your days to schedule your podcast. So, my apologies. I promise you, because I knew better, I'll do better. So in this episode, we're going to be covering Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy and how does his views on nonviolence play into the experiences that we're going through as Black men and women in America today. Now I know that's going to ruffle a few feathers. A lot of y'all ain't going to like it. They going to say, talk to him. And some going to say, don't say it, man. I thought you were cool. Look, I'm not here. I am not here for you to be pleased. I am here to speak my part and ensure that my legacy is in place. So either ride with it or log off of this. And also what we have on the agenda is, I know y'all heard about it. And if you haven't, you must have been living under a rock. But the story of this man who invested in cryptocurrency, a very popular one. You know that Bitcoin? You heard about Bitcoin right now? You heard how much it is right now? But apparently he owns some Bitcoin and he cannot get into his digital wallet to retrieve his monies. So once again, this is Creative Venchie. Welcome to Venchie Talks. Stay tuned. So as you know, whether you were in public school, private school, homeschooled, if there's anything that's constant about the education that you receive, every year you receive a good old smidget of February where you get Black History Month. But prior to that, you get Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday and all of his accomplishments, how he has stamped his legacy onto everyone and how we perceive what justice should be, what love should be, how to be socially intact with our surroundings, and overall just to be good human beings. But a few more keynotes or a few more key contributions to the advancement of African Americans, one being the March on Selma in Montgomery, Alabama, also him winning the Nobel Peace Prize, also the infamous I Have a Dream speech, and his, I guess, claim to fame for most people, which is his views on nonviolence, which that is our segue into what we want to get into. When it comes to his views on nonviolence, us being able to be treated equally and make advancements as Black people and minorities in the United States of America without the use of violence, for me, I never could gel with it. I never could vibe with it, because I think people who are docile and passive, once the people, I'm not going to say everybody's an oppressor, but people who are used to oppressing others, other people who are used to discriminating others and following a way of life that usually benefits them and no one else, they're not trying to hear that. And listen, I get it. My views might not be aligned with anybody else's, but guess what? I sleep peacefully at night knowing that I am authentically me. I have my own authentic beliefs. And if it's not aligned with most people, guess what? I don't care. But I noticed over this past year, with a lot of things covered in the news and the injustices of people who look like you and I, the narrative is totally different in regard to how we should respond, how we should react. And I know a lot of you short-term memory people probably forgot all about the whole attack on the Capitol. And from what I hear, those were passionate patriots. That's the perfect name for those people who stormed the Capitol. And I chuckle and I find it funny, but at the end of the day, you see that type of energy that was brought towards the Capitol and it was validated, no issue with it. the vast majority of people say, hey, they have every right. When that same energy is fueled and presented by people who look like you and I, the outcome, I don't think it's the same. I don't think there's going to be many people who don't look like you and I who have the rebuttal of, it was validated. Those were passionate patriots. Those were passionate black people. And my view on that is validated by what I've already saw leading up to 2021. 2020 has shown that people who look like you and I, people from the minority section of the United States, we're not offered that forgiving manner. We're not offered that understanding, that empathy. When we see people practice Dr. Martin Luther King's ideology in the streets protesting for Black Lives Matter, or anybody who is fighting against the oppression and senseless killings of minorities, when we see that the rebuttal or the response to that is usually force, there's no talking on that side, there's no understanding on that side, it kind of loses its meaning. It loses its validation. So while it may have worked during Dr. Martin Luther King's time, if that was the signal for progression amongst our people by just being nonviolent, then my question to you is this: how come we're in the same place that we were, and may, in some aspects, maybe in a far worse place than we were than the time of Martin Luther King, than when he was alive? I think that's an honest question that can lead to an honest conversation. After seeing the practices of Dr. Martin Luther King play out over decades now, and it get us nowhere, we're pretty much at square one. It makes me wonder, what's next? What's the new plan of action? Because what's in place has yet to work. If anything, what's in place was only meant to keep us at bay. only to keep us docile and timid and quite frankly, constantly begging to be seen and noticed. And that's something that I don't want to pass down to my children. And I don't want them to pass that down to their children. A lot of people preach the whole ideals of Dr. Martin Luther King to people who look like you and I and say that's how we should act. Be more like Dr. King. And my rebuttal to you is this: Dr. King, prior to his assassination, he was one of the most hated men in America, regardless of what he stood for, which was mostly nonviolence. Y'all still hated him. And quite frankly, he would still be here if you didn't assassinate him. You understand that? So if the outcome of nonviolence and loving thy neighbor gets me assassinated, then whatever plan of action is there? Because that one didn't work out too well. And I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, so before we go any further, you know we gotta pay those bills. And the first sponsor is coming from FalconBlueFitness.com. I know you probably heard of them before. Falcon Blue Fitness is an online virtual fitness boot camp, as well as an in-person virtual fitness boot camp with a twist. All you have to do is book a session. If it's in person, this is the surrounding area of King City, Paso Robles, as well as San Luis Obispo, California. So until January 31st, 2021, Falcon Blue Fitness has a promo going on, a 2-for-1 get to work session promo. Oh yes, online or in person. Make sure you go to www.falconbluefitness.com today, book yourself a session, and remember, no Blue Falcons allowed. Hold on, before we go to this next one, I got a little something in my stomach, you know what I mean? Hold on. Delicioso. You know how they say? What they say? Delicioso. All right, so as mentioned at the top of the show, this next topic right here, sheesh, you think you've been having a bad day. You think this year started off bad for you. Man, I don't think you got nothing on this next man right here. So, a little backstory. If you have not been into cryptocurrency, if you don't know what Bitcoin is, I don't know what to tell you. You might want to do your research. As a matter of fact, pause this. Go do your research. Go get on Google. But for everybody else, let's keep going. Bitcoin, to start off this year, started off with a bang. It hit a high of $39,000 per coin. Yeah, that's right. So if you own any Bitcoin and sat on it, been sitting on it for a while, you're doing all right now. All right. You now you can cuss your boss out like, you know what? Depending on how many Bitcoin you got, but you can definitely cuss your boss out and say, I ain't coming back up in here. I'm done. Finito. That is all but this one man right here. There's a man in San Francisco who owns a bit of Bitcoin. And I'm not talking about just a smidget. I'm not talking about $60,000 worth. I'm talking about in the upwards of $250 million. Yes, 250 of them M's, my guy. He out here with the money. But can't really celebrate because it's locked up. I'm talking about clink. I'm talking about Fort Knox type locked up. You need that GS14 level to get in here and access this money. His issue is he can't remember his own password. Let's just let that marinate. You got 250 milli. You can't even touch it because you can't remember the password. It ain't even my money and I'm feeling for this guy. But this man has 7,000 Bitcoins that are now worth $250 million and cannot access it. His name is Stefan Thomas. He bought the Bitcoins back in 2012. And today each Bitcoin is worth about 37K. Now I know somebody's gonna jump out and say, well, can't you just call somebody, get the password reset? Yeah, it ain't that type of game, my guy. This ain't resetting your Google password. Nah, this is the Fort Knox level of security, my guy. Either you remember your info or you are shit out of luck. Once again, either you remember your info or you are shit out of luck. And my man is the latter of the two. He has the password though. It is saved on a hard drive. This is a special type of hard drive though, with some I don't know what type of level of encryption, but all I do know is he gets 10 chances to put the password in. After 10 wrong tries, it wipes the entire hard drive. Out of those 10 times, how many times has Thomas tried? He has tried 8 times already. He is out here with 2 chances and a wing and a prayer. He on the stairway to fortune, but he can't get to the top. Think about that. If that was you or I, what you doing? How are we gonna get through this? Because I'm telling you right now, there ain't a level of motivation, no stress, no mental toughness that can get me from trying to swan dive off the top of a Chick-fil-A building. I'm telling you right there. If I can't get to 250 mil, what we talking about? You think I'm coming back to work? You think I'm gonna walk back the next day and be just like, I had my chance, that was just crazy. I guess it's a story to tell future generations. Why? So my grandkids can say you a clown? so my grandkids be like, hey Papa, you dumb as shit. How you forget your password, Pops? You understand me? This is something you gotta take to the grave. And after losing out on 250 mil, the grave just gonna start digging my plot because I got to go. Ain't no lust in life. What we doing? I don't want to go on no vacation. I don't want to chill. I don't want to have fun. I don't want to go watch no games. Ain't nothing to talk about. You might as well just go. That's it. Sign my papers. Let me get the will right. I'm sorry. But what did Thomas do? Let's go further on and figure out what he did about this. What's his take on this? So, like I said, he only has 2 attempts left to get into this hard drive. If not, locks the hard drive out and it locks it forever. So, let me tell you what he said. He says that a lot of people are offering various solutions. Everything from the silly, for example, one person suggested, have you tried the word password? Man, get your goofy ass out of here. And here's the funny thing about Bitcoin. Since Bitcoin is an anonymous cryptocurrency, the only way to access it is with a password the buyer sets themselves. Forgetting the password isn't uncommon though. Get a load of this. According to the New York Times, about 150 billion with a B, 150 billion of them things worth of Bitcoin appears to be stranded in digital wallets. What is y'all doing? Like, you had no intuition, no inclination that Bitcoin was gonna blow up, so you just said, let me just buy something and just forget it. This ain't a Hot Pocket, all right? This ain't a toaster strudel, all right? This ain't a set it and forget it type of situation. We talking about millions, better yet, billions of dollars, and y'all just gonna let it sit on the table. Man, y'all crazy. Anyway, as for Thomas, you know, the man who has 250 mil sitting somewhere he can't get access to, his response to this is he's moved on from this dilemma and judges his self-worth on things other than money. Aww, see the bigger picture. What a stand-up guy. What a stand-up guy. He says, nah, it's bigger than money, baby. It's about your self-worth. And I get it. You should have self-worth. All right, I get that. But why can't you have both? Why can't you have self-worth and a couple of them M's? A couple of them million meals? So look, I get it. Let this be a lesson to y'all, all right? Remember your passwords, okay? Don't set it and forget it like this guy. Because 250 milli could be down the street around the corner. You just gotta remember the password. And if you do need help remembering it, and say you're not good at remembering passwords, you could always contact me at creativevenchie@gmail.com and just email me with your latest password. I'll give it back. Oh man, I mean, it's a lot of y'all out here who don't know the password to get to an account that got $14 in it, and we stressing. We out here stressing over 14, and he out here saying you let go and let God with 250 mil. Man, you think that there's not somebody out here collecting these unaccounted for accounts? You got to be crazy. Somebody's sitting on free money, and that's just the way the world works, man. It's crazy, unfortunate, but that's the way the world works. All right, so with that story, we have come to the conclusion of this week's episode of Venchie Talks. Short, concise, straight to the point, and hopefully impacting you and making you think throughout the rest of your day. So let me know, how can I improve? Let me know what you loved about this episode, and follow me on social media to let me know any suggestions on what you want to hear for next week's episode. Until then, I want you guys to make sure you remember your passwords. Start investing. Take care of your mental health. And don't be afraid to talk to people about whatever inside thoughts you have that may concern you. And that's on the real. And listen, I know this life ain't perfect, but it's worth it. I am Creative Venchie, and this has been Venchie Talks. It's a work.